Hey everybody, we're about to get started here. Let me get a couple devices all connected. Good to see we have some folks. All right, we're live. Facebook Live is going. We've got a couple devices going. We've got Google Hangouts on air, which is YouTube Live, and then we got Facebook Live going, and really excited for our audience to kind of engage with us a little bit. Today is all about advice for finding your next job. And here at Local Work, let me give you a little backstory. Some people are jumping online and starting to post some questions, some things we can discuss over the next 45 minutes to an hour. A little backstory is my name is Ryan. I'm the founder of LocalWork.com. Started the company 5 years ago. In August, we're celebrating 5 years, which we're super excited about. And when we did so, the unemployment rate was just horrific numbers. We were in the double digits of unemployment. We're located here in Phoenix, Arizona. And we really wanted kind of this side project to say, how could we help the community find work a little bit easier? And what we saw in our marketplace was there's a lot of those national job boards, and a lot of the employers that were local, had great jobs, didn't want to post to the big national platforms. They wanted something more hyper-focused. And the only company that time really that was doing it was this, classified section of Craigslist. So we said, let's create a professional platform on a very local, hyper-focus, and it took off. We built the job board, we integrated with some local media outlets, and before we knew it, we had a huge audience coming to us, and everybody's looking for work. And if they were currently working, they were probably underemployed or didn't feel like they were getting what they were worth. So we set out to make a difference. In the midst of that, that's when we really got excited about job fairs. Job fairs for us are the great bridge to get the job seeker in a room that otherwise might not be getting noticed or the right attention. Maybe they don't want to just blindly submit their resume to a bunch of random jobs. They wanted the opportunity to win. They wanted to win in the moment. They wanted to meet who their potential employer would be, ask the right questions, and create that relationship. And so we've started. Since that time, I think our events started 4 years ago, we've helped over 30,000 people get their next job. I think it's fantastic. We're super excited about it, and couldn't be more thrilled with the growth and the success we've had over here at Local Work. So to jump in, feel free to chat any questions you might have. And we'll get going. All right. Give me 2 seconds here, and we'll be plugging and going. All right, so here we go. A couple questions coming in. We're going to talk a little bit about different stages of what that job fair lifestyle looks like. The first off, we want to talk about what to do before the job fair happens. So you think about, okay, I know I'm actively looking for a new job, or maybe somebody told me about, hey, there's this cool event that's coming online that I want to get going. I get invited to it, and we decide to go. So you want to do some research. Obviously, there's a couple different ways to craft your research strategy. And let me give you some advice. So the first one is a lot of people don't realize, but there's actually a specific strategy to doing your research. Give me just a minute here. I'm going to update something. We've got a couple questions coming in, having some hard time with the audio. So let me plug in a couple of things here. All right, just updating a couple things on that embed page. If you haven't had a second, jump over to LocalWork.com. Tremendous amount of resources in there. We're going to talk about a lot of them today, but it's not new information, and that's what's so exciting about this is we found the recipe for success on finding your next job. And so we try and document that as much as possible and really give you the best recipe for success. And as we get going through this, you'll see we have a lot of blog posts committed to it, talking about it. And anyway, a lot of good information. So feel free to jump in, chat some stuff. Some more questions are popping in. We're going to cover a couple of these things, but let's dive back into the research mode. So before you go to an event, you really want to look at who the employees are that are coming. Now, this is probably one of the biggest pain points, is not all events show everybody that's going to be there. They just don't. And there's some reason for that from a marketing standpoint. They want to leave a little bit of curiosity on the table to try and get some people to come out to the event. But your sponsors, your bigger tier employers, you're going to see probably 70% of the employers that are going to be attending, they're going to be labeled in some level of sponsorship. So pay attention to who the sponsors for the event are. Usually when there's paying a little bit of a premium for an event, it indicates that they have a high pain point. And that high pain point is, I'm hiring, I need more people, and I'm desperate, right? And so a lot of the times they're going to have the most jobs available. They're going to have premium placement at the event, and they want as much exposure as possible to their open jobs. So jump in, do some research, go into their specific company website, look up what careers, what active jobs that they have going on, and be able to start digging around about the roles and responsibilities each of those jobs. And when you get going on this, I recommend putting a little journal together. Get a notebook, whatever it is, whether it be just a bunch of different paper to take notes on, and break it down into specific companies and then subsection into specific jobs. Build unique questions and craft them around everything that you see. And by doing so, you need to stay more organized, and it shows. The employers take note of that. When you're talking to them, they're going to be able to note, hey, this person came prepared, they're ready to go. It makes a big difference. So doing some research. I'm going to dive in just a little bit about the power of some LinkedIn hacking tools that we've been able to teach on how really to discover who the key contact is, how to find their email address, some really cool tips here in just a minute. Some other things about research is jump into their social media sites. A lot of these bigger employers are going to have dedicated Facebook or Twitter accounts for their careers team, for their human resources or their recruiting team. A lot of times they're going to be posting dialogue and comment about it, and that's a really good spot for you to jump in and start engaging with folks. So make sure you engage with them there. Dress code. This one can be a little bit tricky. Don't wear flip-flops. I mean, that to me just screams, I'm not entirely convinced I need a new job yet. When you show up and you can't even wear, closed-toed shoes, or you really demonstrate that you're willing to do whatever it takes to get a job. Come dressed for success. And to me, what that means is you don't necessarily have to wear the tuxedo or the but you should come dressed as best as you possibly can for the environment. So if you're going to a college career fair, it's probably dressed down just a little bit. It's probably you're on campus, you're in the middle of a big student center or student hall. It tends to be a little bit more of a casual environment. You don't need to wear a full-on suit, but when you do, it demonstrates professionalism and that you're really committed to the opportunity. For ladies, make sure you get your hair tidied up. You look presentable. You're not there demonstrating a lot of the cleavage, or you're showing too much or revealing. need to show a high level of class and professionalism. You don't need to wear a full-on dress. We've had some women folks come in to talk specifically to our female job seekers to say, okay, here's the wardrobe. This is exactly what you want to be wearing. And a lot of times it just talks about, you know, a nice shirt, simple blouse, good skirt, presentable shoes, and bring the smile. I mean, that is the big thing I can tell you guys is you're getting judged a lot based on the personality you're demonstrating, the smile, the charisma that you're bringing. As long as you look professional, you're comfortable, you're showing your confidence, it goes a long ways. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your resume and getting that ready. I am excited, and you guys wouldn't believe this here, but I've got piles of resumes, and I'm not going to go through each one of them here, obviously, with you guys today. But I love to go through resumes because I think there's no science to it, right? It's more of an art. There's a lot of people that have strong opinions on different things. Everything I'm going to tell you today is my opinion. Wrong, might be right, but after seeing as many resumes and people hired as we've seen, we feel like we have a pretty good understanding of what it should look like. So here we go. Let's jump right into the resume section because this is important to have ready before you go into a job fair. Number one, keep it to one page. A lot of these employers, they're getting stacks and stacks of resumes. They don't want to be worried about carrying an extra book or binding of resumes. It's not worth it. So here's an example. I've gone ahead and taken out some of the contact information so it can be a little bit anonymous here. One page. That's great, but it feels very empty, right? This isn't doing a whole lot for us. The first one I looked at, I was like, well, maybe it's because they don't have a lot of experience. They don't have a lot to talk to. But the reality is they've been working since 2008. So they've got 9 years of work experience under their belt, yet they only took about a third to a quarter of a page to talk about their work experience. If you only have a few jobs in your history, I would like you to elaborate a little bit more. And when I say elaborate, I want you to specifically say, here's the value that I added to the employer, and maybe note down specific tasks and then what the impact of that task was to the employer. So if I was an office assistant and I was tasked with filing and getting all of my organization in the office, I would find a way to articulate not only the task, but then the impact of that. By having a better, more organized file structure, we were able to eliminate 8 hours a month of tension and frustration, which led to this much more efficiency. And because of that whole process that we were able to put in place, here's how much revenue our company was able to increase. Now, you're not necessarily saying because I was able to organize our files, our revenue jumped 5x, but you can talk about the organization and the structure, the omitting of the stress because of that task. So find a way to take your tasks at whatever job you were doing and build specific value proposition around it. What value did you add to it? Here's why. Employers that are reading your resume, I do this, I've hired a number of people from my own team. When I'm reading that, I'm visualizing, can I see that value added to my company? Does that value to me? And could I see that person replicating a similar skill set into my employment opportunity? And a lot of times, that's where you really get to know the person the most, is by visualizing what kind of value they can bring to your organization. Education section. This individual went to Glendale Community College and just said general studies. I have no idea what that means. I mean, I know what it means, but I don't know what it means, right? So general studies, does that mean you just happen to have a bunch of different credits in different categories? Does that mean you actually got your degree? It doesn't say there was a bachelor. It doesn't say there was an associate's degree. It just says you went to college. I don't know what duration of time, how many credits you accumulated. So maybe outline that just a little bit. If you got a degree, make sure you say this is a Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science in General Studies. And favorite classes, this is what I learned, this is how I applied it to my career. You can add a little bit to it. Again, I love the one page, but it's too thin. Got to add a little bit more value to it. All right, next one. One pager again. Love it. But what is this? What is that? I mean, it's like your printer drum just started like going crazy on you. And now if I'm an employer and I'm looking at this, I see you've been in the, you've had work experience back to 1995, but you're not showing any level of like attention to detail. You've got to have, I mean, I can make so many assumptions just by crappy print jobs that I wouldn't even consider you. And I don't even care what level of job it is for. But if you can't even print out a piece of paper that looks clean, how am I going to expect you to be clean at your job or your surroundings? Or when I ask you to do something, you're going to even just do it well. That to me is frustrating. Work experience. You have essentially about 6 lines covering 15 years of employment. Why? Again, show me the value. Show me that the job wasn't just about showing up and being part of a time clock. You actually added value to your employer. As an employer, I want to see that. I want to see a demonstration that you can bring some skill sets to my organization and you care about your job. This isn't doing it. Better attention to detail. All right, next one. There's a bunch of Word templates out there for resumes, and it's got this hard line right here on the side. Delete it. It doesn't do anything but just add more frustration. A lot of bullet point heavy. I keep it to 3 bullet points per section or per responsibilities, and then where you elaborate on is the value you add. So if it's a bullet point responsibility, say what the responsibility was, and then again add value to why that mattered. Why you did that, you got praised or you got viewed as the best at this specific task, but don't just list out bullet points of responsibilities. It doesn't do a lot for me. Again, this is a 2-pager, but look how small that is. You could reformat this 2-page resume into 1 page, and it would actually give you a lot of value. Next one. Clean resume. I actually like it. Super simple. We talk about our key skills. This is my value add, my experience, and then we talked about roles and responsibilities. Again, I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. I don't want to just see a list of responsibilities. Show me specifically what value you added to that organization so I can visualize how that impacts me at my company. A couple things about this. I wanted to talk about email address. This person just had a generic at yahoo.com. Perfect. They use their first name. They use first name dot last name at yahoo.com. Don't use email addresses that would suggest anything irresponsible. Always plain hooky at gmail.com. I've literally seen an email address almost exact to that example. Like, as an employer, I'm in a forecast that you're wanting to go play hooky and you're not actually going to be wanting to do your job. That doesn't demonstrate confidence to me. But good example on that one of a resume. I might dive into a couple more of these in a minute, but I think we get the point. Talk about what you did, but then talk about what value those functions added to the employer, and that's going to add some good value. All right, so let's talk a little bit about day of the event. Now, a lot of people come to my job fairs. We typically do our events for 3 hours. They start at 10 a.m. They go to 1 p.m. We have an event coming up in Phoenix, actually next Monday, a week from today. It's on May 22nd. If you haven't registered for it, go ahead and check it out here on LocalWork.com. You can find it. But here's what happens, which is what surprises me, is the event starts at 10 a.m. We'll have a handful of people that'll show up early. The bulk of the people show up promptly at 10:20 to 10:30. I mean, it always happens. That's when the rush happens. Now, if you really want to get ahead, you want to either be the first person the employer talks to or one of the last. but you don't necessarily want to be the last because now they're tired. They've been talking to people all day, but you can be memorable. And that's the advantage of being last. You can kind of have that lasting impression. They can end the day speaking to somebody great for that potential position. But being the first has a lot of advantages. We've seen a lot of people that get job offers within the first hour of an event. They will literally go to the event, have the right questions, the right framework, and they are able to have a solid conversation because the hall or the job fair venue isn't that busy yet. So you can spend a longer time discussing everything. And frankly, the employers kind of got the energy in the morning, right? They're not burned out from 3 hours of standing on their feet, answering the same old question over and over again. They're more willing to elaborate and dig a little bit deeper into it. So make sure you show up early. I recommend 30 minutes early. Get the registration. Every event's gonna have some level of registration or check-in. Get checked in. Our events always have free community resources. So we're gonna have resume writers. We're gonna have photographers. We're gonna have people in the community volunteering and talking to you about some different ways to land your next job. Take advantage of that. Get there a little bit early. Jump in, talk to those free resources, and then you're first in line, ready to go as soon as the doors open. So make sure you're early. One thing that gets overlooked quite a bit, I mentioned it earlier, but the power of a smile. So here's a couple of things that I've seen some folks do at events. And I'm gonna try to act it out the best I can. They will literally have their resume in their hand and they walk into the job fair venue and they look up and then they look back down at the resume, and as they're looking at the resume they say, so what are you hiring for? And the person, how do you answer that? I mean, are you really that excited now to talk to the job seeker? Now when a job seeker walks up with a big smile, it's like, oh, hello, State Farm, I actually saw you guys online. You guys have a lot of great positions available. I have industry experience for XYZ. Tell me what positions you have that might be applicable to that type of an industry or that experience level. Now that recruiter has something to go off of. They're a little bit more excited to talk to you. They can engage a little bit deeper. That is exciting. Now, a couple of things that happen is they'll walk up and they'll say, I'm the job seeker. I walk up to the employer and I say, hi, how's it going? And the employer's like, great. What kind of job are you looking for? That's employers, if you're watching this, we got to find a different way to create a compelling discussion here rather than just what are you looking for? Well, the answer every job seeker says, a job. And they say, what kind? This is the biggest mistake. Job seekers always say, anything. Oh, nothing takes the winds out of sales more. Yeah, I'm willing to take anything. That to me shows you have no desire or focus or clarity for the type of job that you really, really want. That doesn't do anything for me as the employer. So showcase, exactly what you're there for. So if I'm the job seeker and I walk up and I went through that same exchange and I said, hey, good morning, how are you doing? Recruiter says, great, tell me what kind of job you're looking for. Well, I have an experience in sales and marketing. I tend to be a little bit more sales heavy, but I'm looking to maybe increase my ability to talk about marketing. What kind of positions do you have that might fit that? Now we've got some context to build some dialogue around. Now the recruiter knows where to help you and really, A, to get you in the right direction, or B, not to waste your time. Now, here's one of the biggest mistakes that I see. The recruiter will say, we don't have anything in your specific industry available. Thanks for stopping by. Well, at that point, the job seeker should re-engage and say, I'm sure you come to a handful of these events where you're active in the community hiring. What other positions have you seen in the community that might fit my skill set? Guys, these HR folks, it's like professional musical chairs every 18 to 24 months. I've never seen an industry that picks up and moves around more frequently than these guys. They know who the players are. They know other companies because they probably worked there last year. And they can say, you know what, my previous employer is actually hiring for a bunch of marketing positions. Here's your key contact. And then you got your notes ready to go. and you're writing down specific contact information and referral information. Now you took a cold lead and you turned it into a warm opportunity. So that's important, is don't just go to every single job fair exhibitor and as soon as you hear they don't hire for what you're looking for and leave. Don't do that. Keep the follow-up going. Do you know anybody? No. And if they say no, I actually don't. Now tell me about your hiring plans though. Is your company growing at a good amount? Are you looking for people just to satisfy positions for the next 30 days? Or are you actually starting to look at building your pipeline for next quarter, even into next year? And a lot of those employers will be taken back by that professional approach to it, that you understand that that's their job. They're just there to fill some positions, but you're helping them forecast what their pain points might be, and you might be a good fit for the future. So make sure you go in and you ask the right follow-up questions. Now, a lot of exhibitors, a lot of job fair folks, they're going to accept resumes during the event, but they don't necessarily say that this counts as an official apply. So you say, oh, thank you for your resume. This looks good. Oh, I like this example in customer service. Oh, you have some team building experience. Great. Now here's what you need to do. You need to go apply online. That always happens. They're going to say, go apply online. I've seen so many job seekers walk away from an event completely deflated. And they say, Ryan, I was frustrated because I didn't feel like I really needed to make that commitment to drive 30 miles to this event, only to be told to go to their website to apply. And my follow-up to them is, do you realize that that was a test? Because it is. A lot of employers, maybe because of EEOC compliance, maybe because they are lazy, maybe because they just want to centralize all their hiring pipeline through one spot. But most people don't realize that that is a chance for the recruiter to see if you can actually follow through with something. If they can give you that assignment and say, tell you what, I need you to go to this website, this is the keyword, this is the specific job, can you make sure that you apply today by end of day? And if you as a candidate say yes and you commit to it, but then you never follow through, that just saved them a ton of time from working with a candidate that doesn't know how to follow through with anything. There it is. It's a test. A lot of these employers, and because of some equal employment opportunity stuff, but they really use that as to say, I want to see if somebody can actually follow through with an assignment. I want to see if they actually do. Or they'll give you a card with a generic email address, say, can you email your resume here? You know, make sure you put my name in that we talked. Can you follow simple instructions? And a lot of times candidates miss out. They fail to see that bigger purpose or reasoning on why they'd be asked to do that. All right, next steps. Inside a job fair, those assignments are critical. But a lot of people ask me, how soon should I be following up with that recruiter? A lot of times they're going to be getting some contact information. Maybe they got a business card. They don't know who to really engage with. So here's the thing. I always recommend follow up within 72 hours. It's our 3-day, 3-touch point rule. So within 3 days, we're going to follow up with that recruiter. We're going to send them an email. If you don't have their email address, find them on LinkedIn. You're going to connect with them on LinkedIn. You're going to send them a message about how great it was to meet you, how excited you are about the opportunity, X, Y, Z. And here's the skill sets we talked about on why I feel like I could be a really good fit for you. When you really showcase that forecast as to why you're going to be a great fit, it really pulls down the curtain quite a bit, and it pulls down that hesitation the recruiter might have. A, you followed up, you demonstrated some professionalism, and B, you're making my life a lot easier on justifying on why I should be hiring you. And that makes a big difference. It really does. So let's talk about LinkedIn, because I think this is something that gets missed quite a bit. And let me turn my screen. For those of you on Facebook Live, I'm sorry, but I'll try and vocalize what I'm doing here. But I'm going to share my screen, and let's jump in. All right, here we are. Should be sharing our screen here. This is my LinkedIn profile. Now, a lot of times, what happens is people forget how easy it is to really connect with these folks. So let's give some examples. So say I go to an event, one of our big sponsors for next week's job fair is State Farm. State Farm is just growing. I mean, if you're in the Phoenix area and you're looking for a next job, you'd be crazy not to look at State Farm. Tremendous pay. They're paying above market range for a lot of their positions. Great benefits, great perks, conveniently located right in Tempe, brand new facilities, brand new technology. You've got some stability there in the industry. I think it's a huge opportunity. All right, so let's do a quick search. So let's say I'm gonna punch in State Farm as my search, and I'm gonna click on people on this tab on LinkedIn. And when I go to my connections, I wanna see first and second degree connections. And while I'm at it, I'm gonna go down here and I'm gonna make sure that I'm looking at current folks there, people that are currently employed at State Farm. But then I have the ability to kind of scroll down through. I'm gonna go in and add a location because I know this recruiter was located in Phoenix. So I'm gonna add that element there. And again, I went from like 600 down to 224 results. So we're gonna look for a couple other things. In fact, I'm gonna redo this search here. So State Farm, I'm just gonna do a simple State Farm search. And got Phoenix, current companies, State Farm, past companies, make sure you unselect that. And I'm gonna look for industry of maybe recruiting. Oh, didn't find anybody here. Look at State Farm as a company here. We're going to see all their employees. Wow, my keyword search went. There we go. Anyways, we can jump in and look at specific jobs. A lot of times these bigger companies are going to have jobs located on State Farm, as well as LocalWork.com. If they went to the LocalWork.com event, they're usually going to have their jobs on there. But look at all these different jobs. And we can go into a specific location, and we can add in Phoenix, Arizona. Now we got 63. Here's what I get excited about is we come in, let's scroll down, let's see if we can find a specific position here. So let's click on this one. It's just a receptionist job. A lot of times you get in and you get to know a lot about the job description right in here, all the details. A lot of times you're going to avoid the pay. I love that these guys show it, not wasting anybody's time. You can dive right in and follow the company just a little bit more. So one thing on LinkedIn is if, say, you met the person at the event, and this is Deanne. Let's go to people here. Deanne Krigner. This is who I met at the event. You can come in and you can actually see their profile and you can connect with them right there. When you hit connect, a lot of times you can add a note. This is a powerful way for you to say, it was great meeting you at the job fair today. Look forward to that next opportunity to connect. And this is where you start to engage with them a little bit deeper. Send the invitation. Well, some of you might not have email, some of you will. LinkedIn limits that based on number of messages you can send directly through LinkedIn to that potential employer. But what most of you don't have is this orange box called Hunter. This is actually a Google Chrome extension. It's free to use, and a lot of people don't know about it. Go to hunter.io, and you can actually pull up this thing. And what it does, let me tell you a little bit about it. What it will do is actually find the person you're looking at, and it will look for their email address outside of LinkedIn. So you can find their direct email address and connect with them. So let me maybe let's pull up a friend of mine. This is Sasha over at Campus Logic, great company in Arizona. And we can hit Hunter, and we're going to be looking. Oh, it's not coming in. Let's see if we can find someone. Let's go to my feed. We'll find somebody here. But it's going to be looking at the domain name of the employer that person's currently working at. And it's going to be able to predict what their email address is. You know what? I might not be logged into Hunter right now. If you want to, we have some videos on LocalWork.com that go through exactly how to do this process. We call it LinkedIn hacking for job search. But go in and you can actually find the person's email address of the company you're trying to connect with. And it is a great way for you to be able to send direct messages to that individual without utilizing or spending all of your email credits or having to pay for a premium one. Makes a big difference. All right. So let's go back here. So LinkedIn is huge. One thing that I recommend, I'm going to talk a little bit about interview prep. When you're taking your notes at these events, I want you to be able to articulate exactly who you talk to. Your notes should really comprise of a handful of things. A is who you talked to at the event, obviously who the company was. But then I want you to talk about what you talked about. Are they going to talk about specific locations for the job? Are they talking about experience that they're looking for? The recruiter's probably going to divulge some level of information. Also find out, is this a new position for growth of the company, or is it to fill attrition? There's a lot of people quitting and leaving, and so they're having to recruit and hire to fill those empty seats. And that should be a big difference for you on what type of job. If they kind of indicate, well, this is for attrition, it's for backfill, you might want to second guess on if that's the right job for you. Why, you have to ask that question, why are people leaving so frequently? So you're taking all of these notes. And then when you reach back out to the recruiter, you want to reference that conversation. You want to say, if I remember correctly, you were looking for somebody that has extensive experience in inbound sales and customer service. And based on my resume, which I've attached again for you for convenience, you'll see that my experience in customer service at XYZ company made this tremendous difference. And when you can do that and you do it right, it makes a big difference. And you can really showcase that you paid attention at the specific job. All right, why don't you guys chat in? I see a bunch of people here live. If you want to chat in a couple of messages, some questions, I want to take some questions from our audience. And then I will do my best to help you guys out. Give you the advice you need. Let's do it. While those are funneling in. Okay. Covered a couple of these already. I'll just kind of recap. How many resumes should you bring? Well, I usually say 30% of whatever the employers are. If the event talks about if there's going to be 30 companies, I mean, make sure at least 10 copies, right? You're not going to be giving your resume to every single employer. And there's going to be a handful of employers that can't accept resumes because they're looking for you to apply online. That just happens. No less than a third, right? 33%. Do the math, it's simple. 10 to 15 copies of your resume should be sufficient, maybe a few extra. Type of paper, let me give you an example. This guy, cross out his face, save him a little bit. But what I want to show you is it's fairly good paper, actually, good quality paper. I actually like that he put his profile picture on the resume. I know some people don't, but it reminds me of who this was. And if he came with a great personality, I'm going to say that guy was awesome. And this stuff, it gets boring, right? We tend to kind of merge that together and we forget about all the little details. But if you remember the personality and they were happy, they were classy, that makes a big difference. But this is what I don't get, right? It's not a normal sized piece of paper. You're smaller. Now it's not as easy to be found. If you did an oversized paper, it was almost too big, that just becomes annoying and recruiters can throw it away because it doesn't stack evenly. I know it sounds stupid, but they do it. But if I've got a pile of resumes in here, That one just gets easily lost. As I'm thumbing through it, I don't even come across it. It's just too small. So like, why would you do that? I don't know. Maybe I missed the boat on the power there. But print it out. Normal 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper makes a big difference. Let me find some good. This kind of paper that's got the you know, the kind of textured print to the background. It's a little bit of a gray. You hold it up to white so you can kind of see the difference a little bit. I mean, I like it. It's going to stand out. It's going to show a little bit more attention to detail. But I don't know if you can see this on the camera or not. It has these watermarks all the way throughout. And it's like called concept paper. Again, it's distracting. Your resume should be there to enhance, not distract from that opportunity. This one, I like it. It's classy. It's 8.5 by 11. The name's nice and big up top. Your contact information is easily legible. And then you're kind of doing this summary / cover letter right into your resume, but then you follow it up with skills and the employers and value add. I like it. Very simple, good resume, one-sheeter. Good job. That's a good resume right there. I'm just going to show this, and then I'll let you guys kind of make the assumptions, right? Like, look how much space is wasted there. That doesn't do anything for anybody. I'm going to assume you're just not that confident. And if I'm looking for somebody to come in and make a case on why they should work for me, you've got to have a good resume. Let me show you this one. I actually like this resume quite a bit. This person did very, very well. But see that little bit of text right there? I guarantee you could have taken this one job that takes up half your page, and you could have condensed it just a little bit so you can bring in your third job and bring it onto one page. Like one little bit of focus there, boom, you would have been solid. I had a couple of other examples here. This one. This, you can hear that. I mean, full on like cardboard. I mean, this is thick stuff. I like it. It's going to stand out. Don't do the double-sided. I mean, just stick to one page for me here. Don't do double-sided. It's just not natural. Most resumes don't have it. I'm not going to do this and want to keep reading through. Keep it to one page. I know this candidate personally. Great guy. Great resume. One page. That would be sufficient. Let me see if there's any others. This is a huge no-no. Okay, it's good color, good thick paper. 3 pages, and you paper clipped it. Like, you couldn't be more annoying of an individual. A lot of the recruiters are going to have stacks of these resumes. You know what happens? That paper clip gets hooked right onto it, slides off. Now your 3 pages aren't connected anymore, and your paper clip's just annoying, and it's adding undue frustration to the recruiter. Don't need a paper clip because you're just going to keep it to one page. Anyways, I hope a lot of those tips were a little bit easier. You know, can help you out just a little bit. Here's my main takeaways. A, do your research before showing up to an event. You've got to know who the employers are. If you don't know all of them, it's okay. But you should at least have some talking points for your top, maybe 3 to 5 employers who you want to go talk to. Number 2, have your resume ready. Single page, looks clean, looks really nice. Your contact information is easy to find. There's so many resumes in here, they forgot to add their phone number. Why? Don't forget your phone number. I mean, that's the most critical thing. Second thing, that resume, you gotta have it. Third, you've gotta be dressed for success. You gotta look clean, you gotta look sharp and professional. Make sure you get in there and you look good. Bring the smile. You gotta bring the energy. You gotta be happy to be at the event. Don't be a doom and gloom candidate. The recruiters remember that and they don't want you. This is a way to see what you're going to act like inside their office. It's their little test to see if you're going to be the right fit for their culture. If you show up with the doom and gloom attitude, they're going to basically forecast that that's how you're going to act at work. And I don't want to work with that type of individual. And I don't think a lot of other recruiters want to work with you either. The other thing you want to do is when you come to the event, you want to make sure you talk to every single employer. Make sure you take the time to introduce yourself, talk about what experience and skill sets you have. And if they aren't hiring for that, ask who they know who might be hiring for it. Take notes, be engaged. You wouldn't believe how powerful that referral community really can be for those types of jobs. The other main takeaway is the follow through. Remember, recruiters are going to give you specific assignments to do because they're testing you. They want to see how effective you are at following through. So make sure you follow through, jump on LinkedIn, find their contact information, engage with them, and most importantly is you've got to take a lot of notes and give yourself tasks to remember to do all this and more. Thanks so much. Again, Monday the 22nd, we have a job fair here in Phoenix. If you're around, make sure you come. It's going to be a killer event. There's hundreds and hundreds of jobs that are going to be for hire in one room. And if you want to see a sample of those employers, make sure you check out LocalWork.com. At the very top, there's a job fairs link. Click that. We're going to be in Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Denver, and Tucson all by the end of the year. So if you're in any of those markets, make sure you join us. We have a lot of fun events coming up. Thanks so much. Feel free to continually add in any chat discussion. We'll follow through. If you want to tweet us, we're at LocalWork.com, LocalWork.com on Twitter, or on Facebook, we're at /LocalWork. Look forward to chatting with you guys soon. Bye-bye.